Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao Ias Academy interview guidance program. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the water governance structure in India. Now, water governance is very important, particularly because of a country like India where water resources are being used in an indiscriminate manner, and that will create a large scale water stress or water crisis in India. So therefore, in this context, we will understand what is the water governance structure in India, and what are the components of water governance, and what is the significance of a water governance, particularly a country like India. And after that, we will also talk about certain challenges in ensuring water governance, and apart from that, we will also discuss a brief way forward in this topic. Now, firstly, why water governance is continuously in news, we have to understand this. Now, India is the second India is one of the largest user of groundwater, particularly for the agricultural purposes. Now, in this context, India has aspirations to become the second largest economy by the year 2047. Now, if you understand carefully, India is the fifth largest economy in terms of GDP. Okay, so I hope you clear about that. And apart from that, India is the third largest economy in PPP terms. Okay, purchasing power parity. Now, India aims to become the second largest economy by the year 2047. So in order to achieve this target, there's a huge need for water resources, and no doubt that there will be extreme stress on existing water resources and water use efficiency or usage of water resources. So therefore, in this context, in order to achieve this goal of becoming the second largest economy by the year 2047, India need to adopt effective water governance or water management structure. This is very important, and particularly because of this reason, water governance in India is in news. Now, if you understand the definition of water governance has already been defined by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay, so it has defined water governance as a set of rules, practices, and processes. Through these processes, decisions for the management of water resources and services are actually taken. So this is the meaning of water governance that has been divided by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And apart from that, the decisions will be implemented and decision makers will also be held accountable. This is all part of the definition of water governance. Okay, so I hope you understood the definition of water governance in India. Now, if we go by the components of water governance, so it consists of efficiency, trust and management, and effectiveness are the components of water governance. So when we talk about the efficiency of water usage, so there are other aspects also, for example, data and information about the water usage or water resources. So when we have data, evidence-based data-driven policy making will really helpful in efficient usage of our existing water resources. Financing will also help in efficient usage of resources, and regulatory frameworks are also very important because they prevent indiscriminate exploitation of water resources, particularly in India. And after that, the innovative governance is also very important. So when we talk about innovative governance, particularly in the context of water use, we need to talk about water meters that have to be installed in every household, so they regularly track the extraction of the groundwater. Okay, so after that, when we talk about the trust and engagement aspect of the water governance, so it also consists of integrity and transparency on the part of the consumers and on the part of the government agencies, institutions, and the civil society. So that is also very important in efficient usage of existing water resources in India. And after that, we need to talk about the multi-stakeholder engagement as well. Now, multi-stakeholder engagement right from the grassroots level, right? So NGOs, civil society, centers, state governments, and the private sector involvement is a very, very important in water governance. Okay, so this is very important in water governance. Now, multi-stakeholder engagement will ensure that the benefits of water governance actually are realized. And after that, we need to talk about the rural urban areas, any divide or technological divide or infrastructure divide. So that aspect has to be discussed, and water equity is also another major aspect that has to be discussed here in this context. Okay, so water equity between urban and rural area people, and water equity between poor and rich. Okay, so this is what we need to talk about. And apart from that, the other dimension is the intergenerational parity should also be discussed as part of the trust and engagement aspect of the water governance. So the monitoring and evaluation aspect of water governance is also very important, because it prevents exploitation or over extraction of water resources. Okay, so that will ensure sustainable usage of existing water resources in India. Okay, sustainable usage of water resources in India. So when we talk about the aspect like effectiveness within water governance, so there should be clear roles and responsibilities for every organization, every agency. There should be a clear demarcation of roles and responsibilities, so that it will help in avoiding confusion of roles and responsibilities, so thereby streamlining the existing structures within the water governance. So after that, we need to talk about the appropriate scales within the basin systems. So now when we talk about the water governance, the river systems, the river basins actually have a huge role in water governance. So therefore, we need to make sure that the appropriate scales within the basin systems should also be taken into consideration when we discuss about the effectiveness of the water governance. So after that, the policy coherence is also very important. Policy coherence in terms of center, state, and local body policies. Okay, so when we have a model act at the central level, that could be a potential source of a policy for state governments and local bodies as well. So because we have a federal polity, different units, and apart from that, you need to understand that water is a state subject. It is not even a concurrent subject. So because of this reason, there's a lot of policy confusion with respect to the water governance. So therefore, policy coherence is also another major dimension of water governance. And after that, we need to talk about the capacity as well. Okay, so capacity of the local bodies, capacity of the government to provide safe water resources for the people, and ensuring water equity. So that capacity and capacity building aspects should also be talked about in effectiveness component of the water governance. So these are the three different components: effectiveness, efficiency, trust and engagement of the water governance. So after that, we need to talk about the need for water governance in India. Now, what is the need for water governance? Why we need why we need to focus on water governance? So we all know that India is a water stressed country. So we have been we have entered into a phase where we will face a lot of water crisis in the coming years. So therefore, because of this reason, India is considered as a water stressed country. There are multiple reasons for that. So there's no regulation, and water is extracted in an indiscriminate manner, and exploitation of existing resources, and not taking care of the sustainable development aspects of the water usage. So because of all these reasons, India is considered as a water stressed country. So apart from this, we also facing erratic rainfall and excess removal of the groundwater, particularly for agriculture and industrial usage. Okay, so around 85% of India's groundwater is extracted only for agricultural purposes. Okay, so in fact, India is the one country which has been extracting the largest amount of groundwater for agriculture purposes, and this has been already asked by UPSC in one of the prelims examination. Okay, so if we talk about the data over the erratic rainfall or the failure of the monsoon in 1990s to 2021, it shows that around 30% of the districts have received less than normal rainfall under the southwest monsoon. Okay, so in 20 out of 32 years, 30% of the districts have received less than normal rainfall under southwest monsoon. So I hope you know about the concept of southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon. Okay, so southwest monsoon, through this monsoon India receives around 78% of its overall rainfall. Okay, so this says that India has been facing acute water stress. And after that, when we talk about the water crisis or water stress, out of 766 districts in India, 256 districts have been facing water stress. Okay, so they have been facing severe water crisis. So people who are living in those districts are not able to get adequate amount of water for their daily needs. So this shows that India has been facing a lot of water crisis or water stress. So according to Niti Aayog estimates, also by 2050 India will likely experience a water scarcity. Okay, so most parts of India, whether the southern India, western India or eastern part of India, the most part of India, by the year 2050 India will likely experience severe water crisis. So there are a number of reasons for the same, that why India has been experiencing severe water crisis. So that has made that water governance is very important for a country like India. So there are bureaucratic hurdles like Easement Act of 1882. Okay, so there is an Easement Act of 1882. So this Easement Act that was made during the British times, and this particular legislation is still followed. And according to this particular legislation, there will be an unlimited power which will be given to landowner. Okay, so according to this particular legislation, the landowner can extract any amount of water from his or her land. So therefore, this has been a leading factor in over-exploitation of the groundwater resources. Now, over-exploitation of the groundwater resources and less percolation of groundwater, or in order to percolate the groundwater, it takes many years. So because of this reason, the underground water tables are not actively replenished or recharged. So this is another major factor that India has been facing acute water stress or water crisis. And apart from that, we need to talk about the equity. So there's a lack of equity in water access as well. For example, if you take a rich, they also have a huge quantity of water they'll use. However, when you compare this with the poor people, they not even have water facility for drinking water, even to meet the basic necessities, the daily necessities. So therefore, we need to address the issue of water equity as well. Now in India, there's no regulation with respect to water usage, and there's no concept of water meters in order to measure the water usage by every household. So all these factors have been leading to the over exploitation of water resources in India, and that has been making India drive towards the water stressed or will face India will face acute water stress in the coming years. Now in this context, what is the significance of water governance? So this aspect we have to understand. Now when you are writing any answer on acute water stress or water crisis that India has been facing, first start with this data. So this is very impactful data and it will certainly help you. Now India's total population is 1.4 billion population. So at 1.4 billion population, India has actually accounts for 17.5% of the global population. Okay, so India is one of the largest populous country. It accounts for 17.5% of the global population, but it has only 4% of the total freshwater resources. Okay, 4% of the global freshwater resources. And even the freshwater annual availability has also significantly declining. Now if you look at the data of per capita water availability in the year 1951, it is 5,177 cubic meters. So this is per capita availability in the year 1951. So however, in the year 2019, the per capita availability of water is just 1,486 cubic meters. So this is how the water availability has been gradually declining. So this is particularly because of over exploitation of the water resources, and people lack awareness about the efficient and effective usage of our existing water resources. Okay, so in this context, we need to talk about the significance of water governance for a country like India. Now when we adopt water governance, as an ideal model, it will ensure sustainable and efficient usage of our existing water resources. And actually, this is the need of the hour. We need to make sure that whatever water resources which are already available, that have to be used in a wise manner. That is sustainable and efficient usage of existing water resources, and that can address the water related challenges that we have been facing today. And after that, it will definitely or certainly promotes equitable access to the water resources. So this is also a very important, ensuring or promoting equitable access to water resources or water services is very important, particularly ensuring water equity. Now, water governance will ensure equity in access to water resources across different segments of the population. So after that, water governance will also essential to address water related challenges. Okay, so we have been facing various water related challenges. So what are those challenges? For example, water scarcity, water quality degradation, and even climate change. Okay, so when water quality has been degraded, so that particular water cannot be used for drinking purposes. Even so, this water may be polluted, and the polluted water is source of various diseases. Okay, so therefore in this context, this will also have a lot of implications on health of the people. Okay, so it will have a lot of implications on the health of the people. And apart from that, the climate change related concerns have also been polluting the existing water resources through floods and storm surges. Okay, storm surges, particularly during cyclones, because the cyclone intensity has been increased over a period of time. Okay, so climate change has also been a major factor which has been aiding in the degradation of existing water resources. That will create a lot of water stress going ahead. And water scarcity is also a major problem because of the over exploitation of water resources. And in this context, we have to understand there are few countries who have adopted certain action plans, particularly with respect to water management and water governance. So when we talk about G20 countries who have adopted best practices in water management and water governance, so when we talk about water use efficiency, India, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UK. So they are the top performers in terms of water use efficiency. Now, apart from water use efficiency, India is one of the top performers in river rejuvenation, because we have plans for rejuvenating River Ganga. Okay, so apart from rejuvenating River Ganga, we also put in plans to clean various other rivers as well. So apart from river rejuvenation, India has also been a top performer in safe drinking water, access to safe drinking water. So because you know about Jal Jeevan Mission. Okay, so Jal Jeevan Mission. So through Jal Jeevan Mission, India will be providing access to potable drinking water. Okay, 55 liter per day per household. Okay, so to every household, so 55 liter of potable drinking water for every household. So this is access to safe drinking water. Also, India is a top performer. And apart from that, in wastewater management is also India is one of the top performer along with the Saudi Arabia. Now, in the context of wastewater management, we have been establishing the sewerage treatment plants, and we have also been using the solid waste management sludge to produce biogas. And apart from that, we have pacts with the Nordic countries, so Sweden, Norway, and Finland, those countries, for the wastewater management or the wastewater treatment. So in this context, in water use efficiency, river rejuvenation, safe drinking water, and wastewater management, India is the one of the top performing country, so particularly with respect to water management. Now, apart from that, there are other countries also which have been performing better in water management or water governance. For example, the climate resilient infrastructure, UK and US are top performers. Water supply augmentation also, Saudi Arabia is one of the top performer. And efficient water governance, Japan and Saudi Arabia So watershed management, groundwater management, all those aspects, different countries have been performing in a different way. Okay, so you just remember, India is one of the top performer in all four aspects. So after that, we need to talk about the challenges in water governance. So there are certain challenges in water governance in India. So the first and foremost challenge that we have to talk about is fragmented policies that we already have, because there are different policies at the central level and the state government level and even at the local level. So these policies are fragmented in nature because of the different jurisdictions they have, and the control of states over these policies and lack of interconnectedness, everything has been impacting the water governance structure in India. Okay, so this has been resulting in the fragmented policies, and fragmented policies no longer aid the water governance, efficient water governance in India. So after that, we need to talk about the importance of data as well. Now if you look at the India's water management, so it has been facing a lot of problems with respect to lack of availability of reliable data. Now reliable data is very important for evidence-based policy making. Okay, so evidence-based policy making or even data-driven policy making, that has been lacking in water management or water governance. Okay, so this data is scattered across multiple agencies and inadequate for sound decision making. So this data is actually inadequate for sound decision making. Now after that, we need to talk about the water crisis that has been that has been faced by India. Now in fact, according to a Niti Aayog report, it has said that 21 major cities are expected to run out of the groundwater in the next 1 decade. Okay, so this water crisis will going to impact 100 million people. Okay, so therefore India will be facing water crisis in the coming years. So therefore in this context, water management, water governance plays a very important role. So after that, we need to talk about the absence of river boards. So earlier we used to have the River Boards Act along with the Interstate River Water Management Act. Okay, so there were two acts that were passed in the year 1956. The first act was Interstate River Water Management Act and the second one is River Boards Act. So even though the River Boards Act was actually passed in the year 1956, so there was no river board that was ever created till this date. So this is also another major problem in India's water resources management. And after that, the federal issue is one of the most challenging issue. So because water is in the state subject, okay, water is state subject, it is not even in the concurrent list where the center will have the powers to make a laws or an overarching legislative framework, or even it is not in the union list. Since it is in the state list, and in India there are multiple rivers which are interstate rivers in nature, there are a lot of issues with respect to water sharing, water transfer, water distribution and water consumption. So therefore, since water is a state subject, except interstate regulation of rivers, which is under the central purview. Okay, so interstate regulation is actually under the central purview. So all these factors have been making India's water management or water governance is very challenging. So in this context, we have to talk about, so what should be the way forward, what should be the plan of action going ahead. So first and foremost, we need to move in the spirit of cooperative federalism and collaborative federalism. So that is very important. So in this context, the union government should play the facilitator role. Okay, so facilitator role with respect to water governance or water management. So where state government and state government should cooperate and collaborate with each other with respect to the management of the water resources. So that is where water governance will actually be successful. And after that, we need to talk about an overarching institution. Okay, so there's no such overarching institution at this central level for regulating the water resources. So therefore, in this context, we have different federal units. Okay, so we need to have a overarching institution so that can regulate the entire water sector at the state level. Now, if you look at states now, only 5 states have water regulators in India. Okay, so therefore we need to have a water regulator. So therefore they will prevent, or they will curb the excessive exploitation of the water resources. Now with the excessive exploitation of water resources, what has been happening is that the groundwater resources has been depleting at a faster pace, and replenishment has actually been taking a lot of time. Several years it has been taking virtually. So therefore it has been creating a lot of water crisis and water stress in different parts of the country. Okay, so therefore only 5 states have constituted water regulators. In the spirit of these 5 states, several more states should constitute those water regulators to regulate the exploitation of the existing water resources. And after that, there should be a model water regulatory framework, so that should be adopted by the states. So this model water regulatory framework should be developed by the central government. Okay, so when central government develops a model water regulatory framework, and that can be adopted by different state governments with relevant modifications. For example, APMCs, Agriculture Produce Market Committees, a model act was first designed and formulated by the center, and state governments have started adopting this APMC act. So after that, we need to restructure 2 water management bodies such as Central Water Commission and Central Groundwater Board. So there's a need to restructure, revamp and revive, reform the Central Water Commission and Central Groundwater Board as well. So adopt a multidisciplinary expertise. Okay, so we need to adopt a multidisciplinary expertise, so that can bridge silos in water sector and building a multi-stakeholder partnerships as well. Okay, so these are the this is going to be the major plan of action that will ensure that India will have an appropriate water governance structure which is in place. So because it is no joke that going ahead, India's 1.4 billion population, which might increase, will face a lot of water crisis. So water security is very important for India's economic growth, economic development, India's health. So therefore, in this context, it is the right time that we need to focus on the water governance and water management. We need to use our existing resources in a more efficient and effective manner, particularly with respect to water use efficiency in the agriculture sector. So adopting drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, that could minimize the usage of water in agriculture, and that will also help in efficient usage of existing water resources. And apart from that, at the individual level and even at the local level, panchayats can do more through Manrega works in order to recharge the groundwater tables. Okay, so at the Manrega level, and even harvesting the rainwater is also a very important, that has been made mandatory by the states like Tamil Nadu, where Chennai has been facing a lot of water crisis or water stress. So therefore, at the individual level, community level, and even local level, state and central level, there should be different plans which should be in place, so that generate a lot of awareness among the people about the efficient usage of water resources. Now, community engagement and awareness among the people are 2 important pillars in effective water governance in India. Okay, so this is all about the water governance structure in India, and this topic is very, very important for your prelims examination, not your prelims but mains examination, and as well as UPSC interview as well. So if you really like our work, please like our video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any suggestions, any doubts, please write those doubts in the comment section. We will definitely answer those queries. Thank you.